Well, I'll have to rewind a little bit. When I was in college, before I went to art school, I studied at a summer program called the Illustration Academy, which is now part of my school. And when I was there, I got to see, I was the only student that hadn't gone to art school yet. And the Illustration Academy was a place where students who graduated from art school and were pissed off because they didn't really learn anything in art school, really how to be a professional, they would go study there. And I found out about the program, and they accepted me, and I got to see and taste how professional artists live and work and how they do business, and they were very open with how they negotiate and do contracts and get jobs, and I got to see how professionals exist. And then I went to art school thinking it was going to be more of that, and it wasn't. And so I left art school early and went to work at a video game company in California, and I made some comments on the internet about another video game company, and I didn't know, as I was young, I didn't know that I couldn't, as a professional in the industry, I shouldn't do that. And those comments went all over the internet. Like, they got picked up by all the news sites and fan sites, and basically I said that the work of this company was really weak. The art was weak, and how many things can be pure brown anyways? It was very monochromatic work. It wasn't well thought out, and that company was Blizzard Entertainment, who does World of Warcraft and Diablo and all those companies, but they weren't quite as well known at the time as they are now. And that went everywhere, and the next day I came into work, and everyone was staring at me, and I went, what? And they're like, you don't know? I'm like, what do you mean I don't know? What don't I know? They said, you haven't seen the boards, the message boards? I said, no. They said, you need to look at the message boards. And everyone thought I was getting fired. And I went on the message boards, and there was 60,000 people who were calling for me to be fired from Blizzard's community, and that had come and just flooded our message boards. But what it did was it made our game well known. All the press started covering. My artwork was put in all the magazines. I got put on all the industry news sites. My work went everywhere from being loudmouthed. And so I got to see, it's like when a celebrity does something stupid, it goes in the news, next thing you know, they're famous and they're selling something, And it was kind of like that. I made a mistake, and it ended up benefiting my career. And because of that, I got very well known in the games industry. And I was helping. The next thing I did was someone had written me another mistake. Someone had written me and said they had this website, and they wanted to know if I could send them some artwork for the game. And of course I said okay. So I sent them a bunch of artwork, not knowing that the PR, the public relations and marketing, control that very carefully. So I had sent a bunch of exclusive content to this little website, and that little website ended up becoming the major source of information about all of our games. What I didn't know is that the guy that ran that website was 15 years old, and he became doing major industry press, and he was just a little squeak. And so he did an interview for me, and I had this idea that company closed, and I went to another company, and I was no longer around other artists learning every day. And so I had an idea to take all of these artists that I'd met, that I'd been collecting, all of these artists, and make a place where we could learn online. And there was no place to do that at the time. So I made a conceptart.org, and all the artists came in, and we all sharing and learning. And I had announced on that website, the fan site, the news site, that I was going to build this website. And then I forgot about it for about 2 months. I just got busy with work. And then I went to my website, and 30,000 people had been to the website, and all it was this guy smashing a hammer going under construction. And then a number of how many people had visited the site. Oh shit! I better get the website built. So I built conceptart.org, and when I did that, I began to meet more and more artists. And as I met more and more artists, and my name got further and further in the industry, I started getting more work, and I picked up a big job for Microsoft, and I picked up a whole game worth of concept art that was a game that was going to be published by Sony, and I couldn't do it all. So I started calling all my friends, and I was keeping them very busy. I had 8 artists that I was keeping busy every day with work, and then I would turn it in as if it was mine. And we would get paid, and then everyone would share the money. And which I probably wasn't supposed to do, but what else was I going to do? And everybody needed work, and so I did what I had to do. And then at that point, I started working with Andrew Jones, who digital artist, and he and I had gone to art school together, and I approached him with the idea for doing Massive Black, and at the time we called it Black Tablet, which is what the old Wacom tablets were. They were black, and then it was then we called it Newborn, and we began hiring more artists, and then I brought in another partner and another partner, and then at that point the company grew, and I quit my job to do the company full time. ConceptArt.org was growing. We started doing the workshops. Then the workshops brought more companies in, which brought more jobs, which brought more success for the group. And so I started pushing all of their names, the other artists' names, to make sure that the other artists were really well known. And so everyone was doing everything they could to make sure that they had a presence on the internet. They had their profiles set up, and they were active in ConceptArt.org in the communities. And at that point, we had enough artists to where I started to get bigger projects. And I thought it would take 3 years to build a successful company, and I had it up and running in less than a year, fully staffed, and went from myself to 18 people, and then 2 months later we're 40 people, and then it just continued to grow, and moved everyone to San Francisco. ConceptArt.org at that point, we did some more workshops, and then I built my first school, because the art schools weren't teaching what they need to know to do what we needed them to do at Massive Black. So I said, well, screw it. We'll just make a school, and we'll teach them ourselves, and then we'll hire the ones that we want to hire. And so I brought a friend out from New York who is a very good teacher, and some of the crew from Massive Black and myself began teaching there. And then I moved to Asia. I started building a company in Europe, and I couldn't find enough talent. So I moved to China, and I started building in China, and eventually moved to China and built there. Moved to Thailand and put a team together there. Wherever the talent was where I was at. I tried to come to Brazil, but the bureaucracy here is very thick, or was at the time. It was very difficult to get business set up, where I could get it set up in 1 day in Thailand. It would take 6 months to get it done here, and I didn't have 6 months I need now. So I moved to Asia for a while, and Concept Art continued to grow. Massive Black continued to grow. We began doing more movie work and toys and stuff like that. And